We are expecting heavy turnout this year, and so that's why we're really encouraging people to vote early.
This year, we do expect that it will take between 10 and 13 days to complete tabulation of all of the ballots that come in.
Are we going to sit here for 2 weeks until Arizona's settled?
We're not going to sit here and waste public resources on responding to each and every one of those.
You guys
where
do
it's
all
going
the time.
to impact
Stephen Richter
the
can't get
voters'
off Twitter.
experience.
Shenanigans in Arizona. They're now telling us it's going to take 10 to 13 days to tabulate all the final votes from our 2024 election. Things are very complicated here in Arizona. We have so many things on the ballot that it's going to take 2 pages for us to fill them out. And the government had a hard enough time with 1 in 2022. So now there's going to be 2. We're bracing for catastrophe. But this clip came from NBC News, clip courtesy of our friend Insurrection Barbie, a great follow over on X, who is reporting that this is what they're talking about in Arizona here today.
Anyway, very tight races here. In fact, Maricopa County is setting the stage that tabulating all these votes may not be an election night thing. It may take days.
Wow. Well, 12 News journalist Colleen Sikora explains that county leaders are asking voters for patience and to be prepared.
Tight races, high interest in the election, and a 2-page ballot are leaving Maricopa County officials warning of lines on Election Day, and also warning it's going to take them 10 to 13 days to tabulate results. 2 pages and an average of 79 contests per ballot.
We are expecting heavy turnout this year, and so that's why we're really encouraging people to vote early.
2 weeks out from Election Day, and some votes are in.
More than 400,000 people have cast their ballot in Maricopa County.
That's out of an anticipated 2.1 million voter turnout this year.
We are seeing a little bit of a lag of where we were in 2020, but the last few days we've actually seen an uptick in turnout, so I am expecting that we will start approaching very close to those 2020 numbers.
What can impact the amount of results released and when early ballots dropped off on Election Day.
Our races will be close.
And on Election Day, lines are expected, even with an increase in vote centers and voting booths at those vote centers.
If you're going to vote on Election Day, vote in person and use that on-site tabulator so that those votes will be tabulated on that evening as opposed to dropping off your early ballot on Election Day.
The county adding more high-speed...
So just to point that out, if you got a mail-in ballot, fill it out, turn it in early. Don't fill it out and bring it in on Election Day.
Tabulators, more election workers.
We're increasing staffing at our ballot processing as well because, again, we're handling double the number of the sheets of paper. And so we are looking to both have extra shifts, night shifts, if necessary, in ballot processing, and then in the next step that takes place in election administration, and that's through tabulation.
But tabulation expected to take time.
We do expect that it will take between 10 and 13 days to complete tabulation.
Complete tabulation. But here is the report from Arizona. This is happening, obviously a very important swing state here from 12 News. They say 10 to 13 days to tabulate ballots. More than 400,000 people have cast their vote out of an estimated turnout of 2.1 million. And I'm looking at my mail-in ballot. I can't wait to fill it out. It's going to feel amazing. And turn that puppy in. Now, the election is 2 weeks away. All eyes are on Arizona. In Maricopa, election officials are asking for patience again because Bill Onesie Twosie Gates is going to have to figure it out again. Now, which could take 10 to 13 days because of the longer than typical ballots and the high interest in this year's election. Total joke. We do expect that it's going to take 10 to 13 days. We want to make sure the process is secure, but also accurate so they can, I guess, make sure they can close the margin that Trump has. The higher interest and the fact that the ballot is 2 pages is going to fry brains there. An average of 79 contests per ballot is exactly why officials are encouraging people to vote early. More than 2.1 million votes are expected this year. Election officials are increasing staffing, and the rest of the report we are familiar with. So here is what this woman said more in full in Arizona.
To handle that weight. So we purchased new ballots. We also took a look at how we organize the ballots because we knew that we would be having to store these maybe 4 million pieces of paper inside of our fireproof ballot vault. So the level of detail that the staff have gone into in the last several months is really, I think, testament to how committed we are to administering a safe and secure election. And although we will be tabulating ballots more quickly than ever, we want people to know, and you're going to hear this a lot in the next few weeks, that it will take time to get results. This is greatly impacted by people who drop off their early ballots on Election Day because our races will be close. As you all know, the media call races. At Tabulation Center, we're focused on counting all of the ballots. This year, we do expect that it will take between 10 and 13 days to complete tabulation of all of the ballots that come in. But we ask for the community's patience as we want to make sure that this is a secure process, but
No, we don't have any patience, okay? We want the results on election night, all right? That's it. Are we going to sit here for 2 weeks until Arizona's settled?
also want to make sure that it is an accurate process. So who will be doing all of this work? I'm going to bring
Apparently
up
you will. Apparently this woman will. She's the only one who's going to do it. That's why it's going to take 2 weeks. She's like, well, I got a lot of ballots to count. Let's see what Bill Onesie Twosie Gates has to say here from some questions.
Any federal partners? Is there any federal authorities that will be present at any of these election sites?
Yeah, so again, we're not going to get into great detail about how we are protecting voters and workers, but we are doing it. Just like
Give us the details.
Chief said, we want people to understand that if they're going to engage in any inappropriate behavior at the vote center or at the tabulation center, it will be dealt with, period. We're not going to get into the details of how we're accomplishing that, but I do want people to understand that when they go to vote centers, these are not militarized zones. These are the same vote centers that you've gone to for years. You can feel safe to go there with your family, with your kids, if you want them to come and participate in democracy. But the point is that at Maricopa County, we started this back in 2022 when there were folks trying to intimidate our workers by taking pictures of them and their license plates. We're not going to put up with that. It's not acceptable in a democracy. It's not acceptable anywhere. So that's what this is all about, so that we can focus on things like two-page ballots and the issues and the platforms of the candidates who are running this year.
I had a follow-up on that. How are you treating voter intimidation this year that's might be different than the past? Like, for example, the Dropbox watchers were allowed to take photos and do all that last time. It sounds like there's a different approach this time, or am I just misinterpreting that?
I think it's dependent on the situation, and we are working with those folks who have indoor locations for people to drop off their ballots to make sure that there isn't any sort of an intimidation factor. We have
They don't want you to watch the drop boxes. Did you hear that? We're working with folks who have indoor locations. Oh my gosh. Who have indoor Dropbox locations to make sure that nobody's putting cameras in there. But if it's an outside Dropbox, then somebody can just watch the Dropbox from far away because it's public. So we're working with them to make sure nobody's intimidating anybody, so that when people are coming in stuffing ballots in there, nobody's filming them this time.
2 outdoor drop boxes in Maricopa County, one at McTech, one in Mesa, both of which are streamed 24/7 live on the internet. Anybody can log on at any point and watch folks drop off their ballots. We haven't seen any situations like we have historically, but I think it's going to be dependent on what occurs, who is there. We want to be respectful of people's First Amendment rights, obviously, but we also need to ensure that voters feel an outdoor ballot box, or going to their local city clerk's office to drop off their ballot.
Yeah, great. If they're not doing anything wrong, nobody's doing anything illegal, just drop your ballot off. Great.
If you know how much has been spent on security this election, and has law enforcement gotten any special training for Election Day?
So over the last 4 years, there's been a heavy investment by the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors,
to
right
secure and
in the
fortify
ballpark
the
of about
election.
$10 million, but it's
Wow.
not entirely security. This was about improvements to McTech. These are an investment in our printers. We can get you very specific numbers that what the fencing costs when we put up the temporary fencing, and then MCSO costs after this, if you want to send us an email on it.
I just had a quick question, and this might be one that you guys end up pitching to the recorder's office again, but it's related to the timing of mail ballots, but on a slightly different focus. Essentially, what I'm wondering is, I'm hearing about long hold times for people who are calling election officials with questions about getting a replacement ballot. Can you guys confirm that there's been some wait times on hold for people who are calling in, and would you recommend that they do something that's not calling in?
This is part of our partnership.
There's a ton of interest in this election, obviously, and that includes people calling the STAR call center, what we call it's our internal call center to the county. We staff up with resources to address election day questions such as this.
We at the board level, along with the recorder, have invested in communications in a way that we never have before, and making sure that we are out there seeing what's being said out in social media and elsewhere. And we will choose which misinformation we're going to respond to. But to give you sort of our North Star on this, where they're being given misinformation about whether vote centers are open, where to go, what the hours are, things that are going to directly, impact that experience. We take the slings and arrows every day. We're not going to sit here and waste public resources on responding to each and every one of those.
You guys
where
do
it's
all
going
the time.
to impact
Steve and Rich
the
can't get
voters'
off Twitter.
experience, and whether someone gets to exercise their fundamental right to vote, that's where we're going to respond very quickly and clearly.
All you have to do, I don't know what that means. Like if somebody says, hey, the election's on Wednesday, you just say, no, the election's on Tuesday, obviously. Okay, get your ballots in by Tuesday. Like that's it. I don't know what's so complicated about that, but they always make misinformation and all this stuff like it's a fight to the death or something. We're going to focus on voter. Okay, well, just put out official information. You're not like saving the country. All right, so that's America. 10 to 13 days. We'll be here as they slowly count the votes on election night.